I never thought a Facebook Marketplace listing would be the reason I moved out of my home. But after what happened, I couldn't stay there anymore. Even now, 3 years later, I still check every room before I go to bed, and I still lock the closet twice. At the time, I was 26 years old and living alone. I had recently inherited my grandmother's house after she passed away. The place wasn't huge, but it was old, really old, built sometime in the 1950s. There were strange creaks in the walls and doors that never quite closed properly. Still, it was mine. And because it was mine, I felt safe there. That's important, because safety is exactly what made me vulnerable. I was preparing to renovate the house. To help pay for it, I decided to sell some old furniture online. One of the items was a large wooden bookshelf that had belonged to my grandmother. It was heavy, solid oak, the kind of furniture nobody wanted to move. A week after posting the ad, I got a message. The buyer introduced himself as Eric. He seemed normal, polite, professional. He asked a few questions about the dimensions and offered full price immediately. That should have been my first warning. Nobody ever offers full price immediately. We arranged for him to come by Saturday afternoon. At exactly 3 o'clock, a black pickup truck pulled into my driveway. Eric stepped out, mid-30s, clean clothes, friendly smile, nothing unusual. He shook my hand and followed me inside. Everything seemed normal until he looked around. "This place is beautiful," he said. "Thanks. How long have you lived here?" "A few months. Your grandmother owned it before you, right?" I froze. I hadn't mentioned my grandmother. Not in the ad, not in our messages. Nowhere. I laughed. "Yeah, how did you know that?" He shrugged. "Just a guess." Then he smiled. But something about that smile bothered me. It felt rehearsed, like he'd prepared it. We moved the bookshelf into his truck. The whole process took maybe 15 minutes. Before leaving, he asked if he could use the bathroom. I didn't think much of it. I told him where it was. He disappeared inside. A minute passed, then 2, then 5. Finally, he came back out. "Sorry," he said. "Couldn't find it at first." I thought that was strange. The bathroom was directly across from the hallway. Impossible to miss. But again, I ignored it. He left, and I assumed I'd never see him again. That night, I noticed something odd. One of my bedroom drawers was slightly open. I was certain I'd closed it. I pushed it shut and forgot about it. The next day, another drawer was open, then a closet door, then a cabinet, always just slightly. Never enough to prove anything. Just enough to make me question myself. A week later, things got worse. I came home from work and found my attic ladder unfolded. I never used the attic, ever. I climbed up to check. Nothing appeared missing, nothing seemed disturbed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been there, watching, waiting. I started checking my doors more carefully. That's when I found it. The back door wasn't damaged, the lock wasn't broken, but there were tiny scratches around the deadbolt, fresh scratches, like someone had been trying different keys. I called the police. They looked around and basically told me there wasn't enough evidence to do anything. No forced entry, no stolen property, no witnesses, case closed. A few nights later, I woke up around 2 in the morning. At first, I wasn't sure what had awakened me. Then I heard it, a soft sound, a floorboard creaking downstairs. I grabbed my phone. My heart was pounding. The sound came again, slow, careful, like someone trying not to be heard. I dialed 911. Then I locked myself in the bedroom. The dispatcher stayed on the line while officers headed toward my address. I listened. Every second felt like an hour. Footsteps moved through the house, one room, then another, then silence. The police arrived 7 minutes later, 7 of the longest minutes of my life. They searched every room, every closet, every corner. Nothing, no intruder, no evidence, nothing. I almost convinced myself it had all been in my head until one of the officers called me downstairs. He was standing in front of a small storage room beneath the staircase, a room I never used. The officer pointed inside. There, sitting neatly on the floor, was a folding chair, a bottle of water, several empty snack wrappers, and a flashlight. Someone had been staying there, inside my house. The police immediately began collecting evidence. They found fingerprints, several of them. A few weeks later, I got a call. The fingerprints belonged to a man with a long criminal record. Burglary, stalking, breaking, and entering. His name wasn't Eric. The name was fake. The truck registration was fake. Even the phone number was fake. The only real thing about him was that he had been inside my house. Investigators believed he had used the marketplace listing to gain access. While pretending to inspect the bookshelf, he had studied the layout of my home. When he asked to use the bathroom, he was actually exploring, finding hiding places, learning my routines, preparing. The worst part? They never found him. Not once. He vanished. I sold the house 6 months later. Some people thought I was overreacting. Maybe they were right. Maybe not. But I couldn't forget what the detective told me before the case went cold. According to the evidence, the snacks found under the staircase had been purchased only 3 days before I called the police, which meant someone had been living inside my home recently, very recently. And one final thing, something the police never included in their report, something they told me off the record. Among the items under the stairs, they found a photograph, a printed photograph of me sleeping in my bed, taken from inside my bedroom. I still don't know when it was taken, and I don't want to know, because if I ever find out, it means he was standing closer than I ever imagined, and maybe closer than I am comfortable imagining even now.